former acting attorney general under President Trump now with me. Matt, it's always good to have you on the program for your expertise. First of all, what are we looking at in terms of these transcripts coming out? I have Yovanovitch's right now. It's in a huge folder. These are hundreds of pages. Americans can kind of go through this stuff now, very, very, very little redacted. So this puts all of it out there. Republicans were allowed to be in some of this. At least 7 of them could ask their own questions. It's there now. It's starting to come out.
Well, let's think about what we have. We probably have what the chairman, Adam Schiff, has determined was the most convincing transcripts. We now have those. The media will now churn on them till tomorrow morning's newspapers, and then he'll present his next piece of evidence. And this is what concerns me about this. The Republicans have not had a fair opportunity, from what I can tell, in these closed-door hearings. The president, who is being accused of doing something, has not had a chance to cross-examine any of these witnesses. And I think the due process rights of this president have been completely ignored, and I think the American people see right through what this is, which is a completely partisan, as we saw from the vote, exercise to undo a duly elected president. You know, I think it's outrageous.
It's interesting what you're saying, because I know we have all of these hundreds of pages and we can read them all, but are you indicating that the fair thing would be to call some of these people back for public hearings so that all of the Republicans who are available to be in on those depositions could ask questions?
Yeah, I think a fair process is one that has been used in the past. And in this case, I do not believe that what the chairman of the Intelligence Committee has done is a fair process. It has been completely, he's put his thumb on the scale. He's acted as both the prosecutor and the judge in this case. And Americans know that that doesn't work. When the judge is not fair and impartial, the whole process is not fair and impartial.
So Matt, I want to pop this a tweet from the president up on the screen, if we may. Republicans should give their own transcripts of the interviews to contrast with Schiff's manipulated propaganda. House Republicans must have nothing to do with shifties, as he calls Adam Schiff, rendition of those interviews. So what we saw today put out was a statement to go along with the transcripts. And again, we can all read them for ourselves. What's your reaction to the president's tweet?
Well, the president is trying to capture a very obvious thing that the American people understand, and that is, as a former defense lawyer and a prosecutor, when I was U.S. attorney, I tried cases, and we had transcripts, and those transcripts were court reporter, and we also had audio that was the basis for those transcripts. And that's, I think, what we should expect from this committee. We should expect transcripts that are certified by a court transcriber that says these are accurate and consistent with what happened in the proceedings, and we'll see if that is the transcript we get, or if they're transcripts that are taken on the back of Adam Schiff's legal pad. Yeah,
I'm looking here through just Yovanovitch's. It looks pretty official, and I would say that this also then challenges Republicans to, as we move forward into public hearings, to make sure that these documents also get out for each person who testifies, in addition to the public stuff, because it looks like a lot. I want to get to this. With outing the whistleblower, a federal appeals court today, well, hold on, everybody in my team, because I want to get to this whistleblower. Do we break something sacred that should matter whether you're Republican, Independent, Democrat? Do we break something if we let politics interfere with outing a whistleblower?
Well, a whistleblower is never guaranteed anonymity, and that's, you know, all they're guaranteed is that they won't be retaliated against from a workplace and a job standpoint. So, you know, for me, I think this whistleblower does need to publicly testify and be subject to cross-examination, which is consistent with the American legal traditions that we all believe make this a great country.
That's very helpful. I had not heard the identifying portion of it as of late, so I wanted to get that from you. A federal appeals court today, now I'll move on to this, is ruling that President Trump must turn over his tax returns to New York prosecutors. The president's attorney is promising to take the case all the way, as we've previously heard, to the U.S. Supreme Court, saying it raises significant constitutional issues. What does today's ruling mean?
Well, it guarantees that this case is at least going to be attempted to appeal to the Supreme Court. I assume they would take it. I think this is a very significant issue. The New York State grand jury, has to have a basis for getting these tax returns and not just some prurient interest that they want to see the president's tax return on a fishing expedition and then leak them to the American public. So I think this is a very serious issue and really tests the bounds of whether a person's tax returns are confidential or whether or not they can be given to a state grand jury for whatever purpose they might deem.
Real quickly, good or bad for the president that it has worked out this way in the state of New York and it gets now kicked up?
Well, this is always going to end up in the U.S. Supreme Court one way or another, and so I fully expect that John Roberts and the court will have this issue probably before the spring.
All right. Matthew Whitaker, thank you for your time and expertise.
Thank you, Harris.